I know. Here we
They just
are.
keep getting louder.
I know. I know. Here we are. Another episode of Our Reel Addiction. Episode 115. For you Call of Duty Black Ops fans, zombie fans, I should say.
What's that about? What's 115?
It's essentially a space element that comes and creates the zombies.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
so there's actually a creation for it now? Like there's
Yes.
backstory?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, there's always been backstory. So, like, that's what started the zombies. The element 115 is what turned soldiers into zombies. And that's what the Nazis were doing in the video game. It's a whole long backstory. It's crazy.
I'll probably put on Watch Mojo after this and get the whole shebang.
No, there is so much that you can look up on it for it. For that goes through literally the entirety of the Call of Duty Black Ops zombie storyline. It's really amazing. But welcome back to Our Reel Addiction. This is again episode 115. Again, thank you guys for listening as always, and also watching it on YouTube. You guys have killed the last two episodes. Last week's episode got close to 100 views. So thank you guys. That's amazing. You guys are also killing it in the downloads. We just celebrated 3,000 downloads, and we're already at 3,000. We're already at 3,200. So again, thank you guys so much. You guys are killing it. Appreciate it so much from the bottom of our hearts, really.
Yeah, we're very, very thankful, guys. Thank you so much for.
It's very humbling.
It's nice, and it's also it makes us really proud because we did pretty. We started the season with a bang.
Yes, we did.
And we're continuing that momentum, so I just don't want to drop the ball. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, as always, guys, thank you for the support. It can't help but feel it just feels awesome that you guys continue to, whether it's watch it, listen to it, really, how you're choosing to consume this podcast. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Don't forget to share it, like it, follow it, let us know feedback. Always, we love feedback. But we have a fun episode for you. We got a couple of release dates and confirmations of new films. We got an update on the Writers Guild. We got essentially some backstory on the Mandalorian and some things that were the original plan for the show. So we got interesting stuff there, and also an update on the Writers Guild and what's going on there. So, we're just gonna jump right into it with the box office because obviously we always start off with our box office updates. Coming in at number 5 is Love Again at $2.4 million. I haven't seen this. I didn't even know what this is.
It's a rom-com.
Okay.
Wait. Let me just verify that because I want to say that
the synopsis.
I feel like it is.
So a young woman tries to ease her pain of her fiance's death by sending romantic text messages to his old cell phone number and forms a connection with the man the number has been reassigned to.
It's
pretty
technically more of a rom drama, but it has some comedy, some comedic elements in it. I mean, we have Priyanka Chopra Jonas as our lead star, and we have Sam Heughan and Celine Dion.
Dion's in
I believe
or doing the music
will debut her acting career.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, she has acted before, but in music videos prior. Okay. I'm gonna go on a whim and say this is her first, as an actress.
Gotcha.
Cool. But most of the time, she's always credited for soundtracks. I mean, she was credited for a couple. Everyone knows Titanic. Which movie. Can you guess which one?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a little love story about a modern Romeo and Juliet retelling. Not really modern, more like back in the 1920s.
Yeah. It's funny, this film, I didn't know it was coming out. I had a similar situation to this with my dad. So I remember one time, because I still have him in my favorites, like for people to call, and then I still have him also in like my pinned text messages. And I remember one time I accidentally called down him, like, and I clicked on his to call, and the number called me back, and my heart dropped, dude. It was crazy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the number called me back because his number had been reassigned.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my
So
God.
his phone number called me back. The new person that has the phone number called me back, and then I think they texted me saying like, oh, like, who is this? Basically, I was like, oh, sorry, like, this is my dad's number, blah blah blah, and that was it. Yeah, but it was really a trip when I had called, when I accidentally called his number and the number called me back. Yeah, it was a
Oh,
trip. It
damn. I
was
would
a
have gotten like
trip.
goosebumps, man.
It was a trip.
Hey, that's a story.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if I've
That,
ever shared it with anybody.
that could, no, you didn't. This is news to
Um,
me. That's a story. That could be a part of your project, maybe. You can even make it into a script.
yeah, maybe we'll see. Got a lot of ideas. But Love Again made 2.4 million dollars. Its grand total since then is 2.7, 2.6 million of that coming domestically and 92,000 coming internationally. Coming in at
Uh,
number 4. Huh? Go ahead. Sorry.
no, sorry. I mean, it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
uh, at least you made that much money.
I
I
mean,
think at least within the millions.
love stories like that are dead in theaters.
Who knows? Because there is a upcoming rom com coming up, but it's rated R, which is kind of funny because usually rom coms are about PG-13.
Hmm.
It's gonna have Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, and it's gonna be
Well,
releasing in December. So,
people are seeing that because there's drama related to that.
but I mean, it has traction.
No,
This
yeah,
movie didn't really
absolutely,
get that much
absolutely,
traction.
absolutely. Obviously, yeah. I mean, it's people are going to be seeing that more for the drama than they are going to be more for the actual film. Uh,
I I know for a fact the last time I saw Glenn Powell in a rom com, it was kind of like a Parent Trap
mhm,
version of. I'm trying to remember so bad the name. It's on Netflix,
gotcha.
and it has Zoe.
Deschanel,
No, not Zoe
uh,
Deschanel.
not Kravitz.
uh, Set It Up. It's called Set It Up,
Okay.
and it had Zoe Dutch
Oh, okay.
and Lucy Liu,
Oh,
and basically and Ty Diggs. And basically, they're both interns in New York, and they're trying to set up their horrible bosses together. And they ended up doing it because at that point, they're just like glued to the hip
yeah.
to them, and they're just absolute a-holes about what they want, their food order, to like upcoming appointments and reservations and all
Mhm.
these other things. And they like set them up so that way they can have free time on their own because they're so busy in love. And the relationship between Zoe Dutch and Glenn Powell is like you can just see how magnetic it is. And I just feel like this guy has, when it comes to female leads, like I think he just has a really good like a chemistry test with
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how this movie is. Apparently, but yeah, there is a lot of drama behind it. His wife ended up unfollowing Sydney Sweeney on Instagram, and
Is
then
it his
that's how the
wife or
rumors
was it his
started.
girlfriend?
Oh, I don't know. I thought they were married.
In all honesty, I don't know. I
I
don't
don't know
know.
about their personal lives, but
Yeah.
girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is,
It's
it's
still very wrong.
it's still pretty funny.
No, it is because like obviously like when you hear about it, like ooh, like it's
You're like,
interesting, yeah, like what's
oh,
going on? What's the tea? What's the tea? Let us know.
exactly.
We
We love.
want to sip on the tea.
Hmm.
But yeah, so moving on, we gotta get back to the box office. But coming in at number 4 is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Coming in at $3.2 million. Its grand total is now up to $12.8 million. Still not released international. All of this being domestic. I haven't seen it. Have you?
No, I probably won't see it. I'm gonna wait for streaming services on this
Yeah,
one. I'll tell you right now.
yeah. I
Yeah, I
can.
just because it nothing right now is appealing to me to go see it. I think I'd rather just wait until I can see it at the comfort of my home
Mhm,
and then enjoy it. However, I mean, I did praise the cast last episode.
mhm.
And the fact that it's still within the top 5 on the second week, even great, especially after the release of Guardians. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like other than like these two films, I mean, like because like the next three are all like, I guess,
Yeah, it's pretty
household names, I
strong
guess you can
contenders
say.
for so far in their placement of their week release.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you mean. I guess what I was saying is like these next three are the only like really like household names that I know is like out. For example, like I can't tell you like what else is out that would dethrone Love Again or even Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But coming in at number 3 is Evil Dead Rise at $5.9 million. Its grand total is up to actually 115 million, the same number as this episode. Pretty spooky if you ask me. No, I'm just totally kidding.
Ooh,
No, it is now up to 115 million. But
good for her.
yeah. Domestically, it's at 54 million, and internationally, it is at $61 million. Yeah, I mean, still haven't seen it. Not gonna in theaters.
Are you?
Not in theaters. Absolutely not.
Have you
Absolutely.
seen any of the previous
Oh yeah,
Evil
yeah,
Dead or
yeah.
even of the show?
I haven't seen Ash versus Evil Dead. I've seen Evil Dead 1 and 2 and the remake.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the
Did you enjoy the
2013.
remake?
It was scary at the time. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was pretty scary, huh?
I'm not
It
going to lie.
freaked me out.
I am the targeted audience for horror films, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this on the podcast many times. Is that they want me going into these films because I'm giving them the reactions like scariest movie out today because this dude's screaming, getting
I
scared.
think it's an honest opinion.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I hear you.
100%.
I hear you. Coming in at
Adam?
no, yeah, I got you. Still got you.
Okay, perfect.
No,
Okay,
yeah, you're
sorry,
good.
you're cutting.
No, yeah, I got
So
you.
sorry. Coming in number 2.
Coming in at number 2 is the Super Mario Bros. At $18.6 million. Its grand total is now up to still at $1.1 billion. I still got you, Miguel. Domestically, it is 119 million. Internationally, $643 million. Obviously, like we said, it is sequel territory. Without a doubt, it's been sequel territory for a long time. I don't know if Miguel's seen it yet. It might be for at the current moment. It might just be me writing solo in this podcast, just to continue on. But yeah, again, films in sequel territory. Especially with the after credit scene. Yeah, I've lost Miguel here. Again, but coming in at the number 2 box office, the Super Mario Brothers making $18.6 million, bringing the grand total up to 100.1 billion dollars, 519 of that being domestically and 643 of that being international. I think it was still at 1.1 billion dollars last week. Like we said, it's in sequel territory. It's probably in trequel territory, in all honesty. It's just especially with the after credit scene. Have you seen it yet? You get a chance to see it or no? No? Okay.
I'm holding off.
I wouldn't. See, that's the thing.
I'm so sorry. I'm holding off. I don't know what it is about me right now, but I don't want to see it yet.
Well,
But
we'll
you know
see.
what? It's funny because my friend, shout out to Alexis, she's seen it 3 times,
Really?
and she's like, "How are you a movie podcast and haven't seen the Super Mario movie?" I'm like,
Exactly.
listen, we are selective here."
No, we shouldn't be though.
Sorry, call me Brendan Fraser because I'm being selective with my scripts. I'm sorry.
We're gonna have to change that real soon. Coming in at number 1, without a doubt, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Domestically making $118.4 million in its opening weekend. It made over 300. It's since then made over another $100 million another $30 million. Because it's now at 318 million worldwide. 127 of that being domestically, and 191 million of that being internationally.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to continue to make money. People are
We did
talking about
predict
it.
last week. I think prior, like early reactions for Guardians, that it could probably be $1 billion movie.
I wouldn't wouldn't not bank on it. I think there's a really good possibility that it gets close to it. Um, just because with how much love it's getting, this is the last Marvel project in theaters till later this year. Kind of a good thing because at this point last year we had Thor and in a couple weeks we had we had Doctor Strange, and then a couple weeks later we had Thor. So we're not feeling that oversaturation of things, that superhero fatigue. Um,
Yeah, I do like that there's a span between Marvel projects, but this one is very special. I did go check out a viewing just yesterday, and I had a really good time, especially when uh, I had three people with me that didn't see it, that haven't seen it yet, so I was able to get their reactions. But it's funny because like when you try to talk to somebody about movies that they're not very like super passionate about, if that makes
mhm.
sense,
No, yeah,
their reactions are pretty simple. They're like, it was good, or it was emotional, or it was a sad movie, and you're like, okay, yeah, but like, what else?
yeah,
And I was like describing scenes, and then they're like, how do you remember? I'm like, you got to remember that I saw this twice, and also too, I am super tense. Like now, my focus is like lasered because I am seeing things now, and it's funny because throughout the weekend, I rewatched Guardians backwards.
okay,
So I had seen after we saw the premiere, I checked out the Christmas special, and then I saw Guardians Volume 2, and then I saw Guardians Volume 1, and then kind of jumped around between um Infinity War and then Endgame.
yeah,
And I was telling and texting Adam, I was like, this might be probably like the Guardians trilogy might be my favorite trilogy of the MCU, and also too probably has moved up in terms of my likement. So
hmm,
now I believe this family of the Guardians is my complete utter fascination now.
yeah,
And it's probably overtaking the Winter Soldier spot that I held so high up, and
yeah,
that's what actually ended up getting me into the MCU in the first place. So to kind of come full circle in that moment was nice, but also noticing the difference in style of writing between Infinity War versus, James Gunn behind the pen. Like you can definitely tell that James has more of a direction and more focus on how he handles his characters in an ensemble, as opposed to just making them kind of like a comedic group. Even though essentially they are the ones who brought Thanos into the world a little more closer and more of the lore of the Infinity Stones within the first volume. Um, so it's like what James Gunn said. It's always been Rocket's story. It's always been kind of like the Guardian story of
hmm,
anything too. So it's been really cool.
yeah.
It was nice to revisit them like that, and seeing it twice was just amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm still a little. I think it's second for me in terms of MCU trilogies. That Captain America trilogy, in my opinion, is just damn near close to perfect, and then Guardians is a very close second, in my opinion. But then again, too, I just feel like if you like, there's no wrong answer. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to those two trilogies, you're guaranteed to have really good stories that are going to make you very engaged in wanting more from it, because especially where these all stand, whether you look at the first Captain America that sets up the first Avengers team up, when you look at the first two Guardians, they're setting up Infinity War and Endgame, and then Guardians 3 is essentially the conclusion. You look at Civil War, and that's really the premise and the how the Avengers are going to be in Infinity War. So I just think there's really no wrong answer into what people think or what you would choose if you choose one and two. I know people will say also Spider-Man is up there. The second one, Spider-Man Far From Home, in my opinion, just is really, really a hard watch for me, especially now. I just don't think it holds up as good as it was when it first came out. Um, you know,
Yeah, it's kind of scary to revisit because there's moments when you rewatch a movie and you kind of let time sink in,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh, maybe this wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of how I've become with like No Way Home, where it's just like I really only like this film because of the nostalgic moments in here. Don't get me wrong, it is overall a great film, but if you take away all the nostalgia, there's not a lot of room of Tom Holland Spider-Man in this film, other than the fact that he is suffering that people found out his name, and that is it. Everything else, there are no villains of his that are in that film, and this once Toby and Andrew show up, spotlight is a lot more shared and not really focused on him as much until the end. Um,
Exactly.
don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's still a great film. I watch it. It makes me give me a big old smile watching all those scenes with Andrew and Toby and obviously Tom. But yeah, again, I mean, when it comes to the MCU, when it comes to trilogies, it feels like there's no wrong answer with Captain America and the Guardians trilogy. Um, but no, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. James Gunn has confirmed that he's had talks with Marvel Studios to see what their plans are really for the Guardians after this. Like we said, the ending of the last film does kind of give us a heads up to where who's returning and who's kind of not. We kind of already know based on contract situations as well. But yeah, you ready to get into topic number one?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so they are a little bit of smaller topics. I know you're gonna like this one, uh, mainly
Is
because I
it
feel like you're a really just big fan of this director.
Robert
But
Rodriguez?
yeah, so I had no idea about this, but apparently there's a Spy Kid there's film coming out. It's titled Spy Kids Armageddon. It's a reboot and it's sneaking onto Netflix this year. And Robert Rodriguez confirmed this through Collider today. Apparently, I haven't read the full article. I just read the tweet that it is from Collider that he talked to. And Spy Kids Armageddon, this reboot of the Spy Kids franchise, is sneaking on to Disney
Yeah.
Plus later this year.
Basically, we get a quote from Robert Rodriguez through Collider, and he confirms Armageddon, but he says, "I don't know if I can say the release date, but it's coming. It's this year. We haven't announced it yet, but it's coming this year. I just finished scoring it, so we're still waiting for the visuals. It won't be done until August, so it won't be any earlier than August. So kind of vague, but." Pretty much a vague answer. Like he kind of just double tracks, and it kind of does sound a little bit redundant, but so far, you know, it will hold the title. It will be under Netflix, and it would probably be by the end of summer. So that's exciting.
Possibly,
And
possibly.
I mean, I love to see some of the OG cast coming back, maybe
Small
as like
cameos.
I love cameos.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's kind of hard because the first Spy Kids, the first three, are so good, and
yeah.
even the third one kind of ages a little well as it continues. Um, but Spy Kids 1 and 2 are just like the best.
Two is like way ahead of its time.
It
Like
is. It
it's
really is
insane. It's
because
insane.
it's a kids movie, but it has so many adult themes.
Yeah,
And then there's obviously that killer line where it's like, "What do you think God like uh hides up in heaven because he too is also afraid of his creations?" It's like, sir,
yeah. It really
what?
it makes you think deeper than you have to than you should be with a kids film.
Yeah,
Um,
and even then too, it's also nice because Robert Rodriguez doesn't treat kids as kids. He treats them as adults, and
yeah.
he sees them as intelligent beings too because they are. Eventually they become them. But it's just that balance of like, you know, kind of trying to censorize the world for them, but also keeping it real and being like, hey, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to face these consequences, or you're gonna be an adult at some point. But also keep hold of that, inner child, and then continue to grow with it because you got to heal that as well, which is, I think, one of the ultimate thematic themes of the Spy Kids franchise. But I wasn't a big fan of the Jessica Alba one.
We
Um,
we won't talk about it.
Not a fan of that one. I'm so sorry. I wasn't.
I think the best thing about like Robert Rodriguez is how loyal he stayed to the franchise.
Yeah. And
Because he
he is a
did.
very versatile actor. Like, I mean, director.
No, yeah, definitely. Because like when I think of it, like he he created the first one, created the third one. I think he did the second one, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I'm double checking right now.
He did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was behind pretty much all of them.
Yeah, because I know he did also the. Okay, so yeah, he did direct the second one. I know he directed the fourth one too, the Jessica Alba one. So he stayed loyal to this. So I feel like in this situation, it's just like it's not like he's deciding to pick it back up years later to come back in his buck. No, he has always been consistently loyal to this franchise. Four films in, now deciding to do a fifth. I'm all for it. I'm all like 100%. Count me in. If Junie is now the leader of the OSS, like count me in. Like I am 100%
Jeez.
for that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's
You
just like give
gotta.
me Carmen, give me Junie, give me the other two annoying Emily Osment and the what was her
Oh, I
character's
love to
name?
see.
What was her
Yeah.
character's name? And then
Uh,
even
it,
the
he had a funny laugh.
yeah, yeah. And it was funny how much of a running gag that
Gary
was.
giggles.
Yeah, Gary, there you go, the giggles.
Gary Matt
Yeah,
O'Leary.
yeah,
Damn, he did not age good. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
Yeah, we were, no offense, man. I'm so sorry.
Um, but no, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch this. I'm super excited for it. I know it's gonna be targeted for kids. However, there is some nostalgia aspect that comes with when you revisit a franchise like this, where it's gonna track in the older and original fans.
Yeah, speaking of revisiting,
Yeah, exactly. And this is another thing because okay, we knew it was coming. But I'm gonna be honest. This felt like a unicorn, in my
this
opinion.
felt like this when I heard the casting for it so far, the two casts that have been announced, which is honestly, I wonder how Michael Keaton is feeling right now.
Well, I
Being
mean,
like, hey,
yeah.
huh?
Well, first off, we should probably announce what film it is. It is Beetlejuice 2. Officially got its release date for September 6th, 2024. Both Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder are set to return. And even Gina Davis, because I believe she's in the original as well. But
As of now,
yeah,
according to IMDb, there's listed as Jenna Ortega,
yeah,
who is considered rumored, but as officially as of yesterday has been completely approved, and will be playing, according to the article I believe I saw, the daughter of Winona Ryder. And then we have Justin Theroux, which he does he look so familiar? Oh, he played Adam in Mulholland Drive.
okay.
Mm.
But yeah, so the sequel to Beetlejuice is coming out. Obviously, I feel like this was such like a like an obvious thing coming of casting Jenna Ortega, just because of Wednesday. I feel like once we saw Wednesday, she was kind of like somebody who we can see uh, joining this film, this unicorn of a film that I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe is coming out, even though it has a release date. But I think I have to believe it now that it has a release date, and Jenna Ortega is confirmed to be in it. But it was kind of just like in what feels like writer's hell for a while, our production hell. Where it's just like no announcements. It was announced, hey, Beetlejuice 2, heard nothing from it. Now we're getting a sequel or an official release date.
I am curious who's going to be writing it.
Yeah.
And also I'm more curious about who's going to be directing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's Tim Burton.
He did the original, right?
Yes. Yes.
I feel like it would only be right. Yeah, he did the original. It only felt right if he came and was helming this film again.
And I think it would be even better too now, holding the fact that he's already worked with obviously Michael Keaton and Jenna Ortega before
Yeah.
with the Wednesday
No, yeah.
series. But to have that, I love it. I love that for her. I'm really happy for her. I
Oh,
mean
okay.
her being on Scream to being on X, and then being on this other list of movies from like Netflix to other things.
You're good. I didn't hear anything. Really quickly, Tim Burton actually is confirmed to be directing this film.
Oh,
So
yay!
I'm glad that there's nobody else coming in. I'm glad it's him. It's gonna reunite him. It's gonna be reuniting him, Michael Keaton, and obviously Winona Ryder and Gina Davis since the first one came out. So I mean, awesome, awesome. I mean, count me in. Count me in. The first one's fantastic. One of the all-time classic, great films.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Before we get
Um,
into the last main topic, we got one smaller one, and it is in terms of the Mandalorian. So Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan in the show, says it was always the plan to destroy the Darksaber in season 3 of The Mandalorian. In order for Bo and the Mandalorian to have a fresh start, the right leader has to be leading no matter what they possess.
how do you feel about that?
This kind of more or less confirms it that she is not the leader.
In a sense of like it kind of going back to being Mando, like Din Djarin.
Yeah, like I feel like reading this, I feel like she's basically saying like, yeah, it doesn't matter what I possess, I'm not going to be the leader in my opinion.
Maybe that's her own like maybe she doesn't believe it yet.
Yeah,
It
could
like
be.
maybe she's like kind of just like, oh, I don't think I see that in Bo's future
Mhm.
personally as an actress, or for my character. Um, I feel like maybe she's just kind of like doubting the fact that the writers could take that there for her, but who knows? I mean, you gotta be like we've always said before on this channel and on this podcast. Um, we trust in Dave Filoni and John Favreau,
No, absolutely.
and in the hands this story is for her. So I feel like, especially with the character growth that we have seen with Bo, there was a couple things on Instagram that I saw from a couple Star Wars accounts that I follow where they kind of just decimate completely the season 3, where they just kept saying that nothing really happened and every episode felt filler up until the last 10 or 20 minutes where something actually happened and continue the story, which in a sense, like you can voice your opinion and you can be wrong about it, and that's okay. Um, or you could also just see it from a narrative perspective and just really enjoy the world and actually see why they had these choices. Because when it comes to productions like these, everything does matter and is accounted for.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just be spending money like this for no reason. They wouldn't be going through so many rewrites for no reason. Um, or even then, too, just being like, or just like being like, hey, I just typed this last minute here, record it. It's season 3.
Mhm.
They know what they're doing at
Yeah.
this point. And yes, sometimes shows fall off. Sometimes some seasons are stronger than the other ones. Um,
My biggest thing is that like how would you expect season 3 to be any better than season 2 when season 2 literally ended in Luke Skywalker coming in to take Grogu and become a Jedi? Like, what are like at that point? Like, what are your expectations? You want what? Obviously, you want. I mean, I would assume you want Luke, you want Ahsoka, you want Boba Fett, you want all that, and I understand you want all that, but Disney went the extra mile, in my opinion, and said, "Hey, we're just going to give Dave Filoni a theatrical release to cook up the finale of his universe." They
exactly.
wouldn't they wouldn't have given him a greenlit film if they didn't believe in his process of what season 3 was doing or what season
Exactly.
3 has now done.
Exactly.
You can argue it didn't do much. Sure, maybe it didn't. You know what it did do? It gave us an epic conclusion to essentially the reuniting of Mandalore. I do believe this is probably the last
The
time we're
re-
going to see Din and Grogu on doing adventures until Dave Filoni's film. Maybe he'll have a cameo. I don't see him being the center focus until the film though.
right. Definitely. Definitely agree with you. I mean, come on, we're getting basically season 5 of Rebels. Uh
Yeah. What more do
I'm
you
excited
want?
for that with Ahsoka.
What more do
So
you
just
want?
Just wait. Just be patient. Just trust in the process of things and
Let them cook.
enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, let them cook.
You Star Wars fans.
The
You're
worst.
insufferable.
And Marvel fans aren't doing themselves any favors lately either.
Mm.
Um, but go ahead, take off the main, or go ahead and
Pretty much, yeah. We're just basically giving you an update on the Writers Guild strike that's been happening. Obviously, we mentioned it a couple episodes ago. It is now live. There have been a couple actors and producers, directors that have been on the picket line fence. Imagine Dragons produced. I mean, did a basically a show for the writers. I believe in downtown LA. I could be wrong with that, but I did see it trending on the news. But basically, NBC News reports just an update on what shows have been affected and how it will continue to roll out. But previously, before even getting into that, it's just we're just going to kind of recap what happened during the last strike. And NBC News reports that from 2007 to 2008, the strike lasted 100 days and cost the California economy at least $2 billion, according to Mayor. He said the strike didn't just affect television and film industry, but also the entire city of Los Angeles.
hmm,
Quoting, it was a really painful period. Restaurants suffered, said Mayor, who also serves as an Associate Dean of Strategic Initiatives and Associate Dean of Faculty at the USC School of Dramatic Arts. In a town like this, when the industry shuts down, everybody feels it. Viewers at the time also pointed out that some show finales or storylines didn't make sense or were cut short. Emmy Award winning series Pushing Daisies, whose first season was cut from 22 episodes to just 9, was canceled after 2 seasons, which some in the industry say happened as a result of the strike. Season 2 of Friday Night Lights was cut from 22 episodes to 15. Viewers criticized the season's plot surrounding Landry, a polite and humble student at Dillon High, played by Jesse Plemons, killed a guy. I probably worded that wrong. Um, because apparently his character killed the guy. Season 3 didn't follow up on a previous storyline and provided little explanation for some events that happened in the previous season. So basically, shows like Heroes, Laws, Grey's Anatomy, Chuck, Breaking Bad, and Scrubs were also among the popular shows that were interrupted by the strike. These are shows that basically became the OG fandoms. Like
yeah,
and it's so crazy that they mentioned Heroes and Lost and Grey's Anatomy because I remember I was such a big fan of Heroes and Lost, and I remember also noticing, and I think it was during a discourse conversation that I stumbled upon a thread, I think on either Reddit or Twitter, where there it's like, oh, you think the strike didn't affect anything about these shows? Remember these shows and how good they started, and then how you can exactly pinpoint when the show fell off. And then in the beginning, I never associated the strike with it,
hmm,
because I believe at the time for myself, I wasn't in the States during that period. I think I came back late 2007, early 2008, if my memory is that correct. But I think it was around during seventh grade. For me at the time, I didn't really care. I wasn't really aware of what was going on politically and, during the news. So for me to see it and then like slowly see it in television, um, is a direct result. So now I am slightly a little worried. However, getting now into what might be concerning for future shows and present shows, basically the shows that have been affected so far by the Writers Guild of America strike are NBC shows like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Late Night with Seth Meyers, CBS The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live, and HBO's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and Real Time with Bill Maher. They all went on like dark as soon as the strike commenced. Saturday Night Live was also halted its 48th season. During its 48th season, Drew Barrymore even stepped down as host of the MTV Movie and TV Awards, which aired on Sunday, just to be in solidarity with these writers, stating, I have listened to the writers, and in order to truly respect them, I will pivot from hosting the MTV Movie and TV Awards live in solidarity with the strike, she said in a statement to NBC News. Also, the Duffer Brothers have announced that the production on season 5 of Netflix series Stranger Things has halted. Writing does not stop when filming begins. They wrote in a tweet Saturday, well, we're excited to start production with our amazing cast and crew. it is not possible during the strike. We hope a fair deal is reached soon so we can get back to work. Until then, over and out. Hashtag WJA strong. Which is really great because basically, in what seems to be Netflix and kind of what kickstarted Netflix in terms of streaming a little more was this show, Stranger Things being back in the day, kind of putting them on the limelight of like, okay, this is going to be the future, and that domino effect into other streaming services. And then we started getting all these other ones like Disney Plus, HBO, Cinemax, Paramount Plus, or I mean Cinemax and HBO, combining together. And it's nice to see that the Furbeaus are along for that because they have reaped the benefits of these writers in the long run. If you think about it, they have changed and made money for Netflix and their way of streaming. So to kind of be one of the benefactors and also be like, no, you know what, we wouldn't be here without these writers is which is really cool. I think, in my opinion, one of my favorite shows, Abbott Elementary, was also part of the WGA stand strike and basically halted, um, production as well for the show. Um, and she also demanded fair compensation for writers as well. Season 3 of Showtime's Yellow Jackets was put on hold after one day, according to the co-creator Ashley Lyle. She also went on a statement to say that we had exactly one day in the Yellow Jacket season 3 writers room. It was amazing and creatively invigorating and so much fun, and I'm very excited to get back to it as soon as the WGA gets a fair deal. Uh, one union strong. So Cobra Kai is another show that was also halted as well. Uh, and basically just all the shows that could potentially be that are on the run right now will be halted for season 3. Now, my concern is just hopefully they do reach a deal. And it's crazy because I don't know if you search how much they're asking for, they're only asking for a 3% raise. 3%.
It's not hard to do.
Like, dude, dude. I was
Yeah.
doing the math the other day with shout out to Juan. I was doing the math because we were just talking about financials and basically what we have for like auto payments. And I was like counting down. I was like, oh, well, no, T-Mobile takes care of my Netflix, so I don't have to pay for that. I do pay for Prime Video because I have Prime membership. So that's like what, $15? Okay, I do pay for Apple TV, but that's part of my inclusive plan. So that's like 32 because I have like other things on there. And I do pay for Hulu and I do pay for Disney Plus, and then I do pay like $5 extra for like Paramount Plus. And I'm like doing the math. I'm like, this is monthly, right? And it's less, close to $100 in streaming services.
Mhm.
Now, I'm one person of a billion people on this planet
Yeah.
who is also on the same boat as me. What's 3% in a month? Like nothing. Fair, fair, fair. To be fair, I am probably talking out of my butt. I don't know exactly how well the math is. I can't pinpoint it. I'm not going to go into that because that's not what I'm about personally. But I don't think it's too much to ask for, especially when it's 3%.
Yeah, definitely. I
And
think when
especially when the future is streaming. And I
yeah.
think that's exactly their point. The future is streaming. Y'all gotta compensate. The way the world is. Whenever there's a rise in minimum wage, everything else gets affected.
Oh, absolutely. That's when inflation
It's
starts.
exactly. And
Cuz
it's the only way that I could see it make sense for me. It's just look, there's more saturation, obviously, of shows. We also got to get paid because now we're in these writers room, and we know people um, who have collectively shared ideas or shared to us on this podcast in previous episodes, who have been in that boat as well, and are thankful for the production, but also need to get compensated.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a little frustrating like when you hear about it because it's just like you say we've talked to these people. Shout out to Tisbal and Magali. It's just like they should be paid what they feel they are worth. Now again, they are only essentially, and I know they are essentially one of probably hundreds of thousands. They're only asking for a 3% raise. They only want 3% more of what the total production is going to be, or excuse me, total revenue of 3% of what they're already getting paid. You know, it could be like, I think about it like this way. You think of like a film like with like Marvel, you are guaranteed to succeed no matter what. You know, people are going to watch your show night, you know, week in, week out. And even their films, you know, because some films start off as TV, some people, and then they switch back and forth. Point is, it's not, I feel like it's not a lot to give them, especially, my biggest thing is like, how do you put a price tag on somebody who is essentially an artist to their own degree? They are creating and sculpting out stories and really, really building their world building. That's essentially what writers do. They're world building for the people who have the ideas for these projects. It's not a hard thing to do, because like when they're only asking for 3%, again, maybe in the long term, yes, it is going to cost all these companies a little more money, but at the end of the day, are you like, how much greed does it possibly take for you to be like, no, you don't deserve that 3% extra? It doesn't make any sense to me, just because it's just like, look, you're probably not going to even be using any of that money in your lifetime, mainly because what do you need all that money for? You're going to die before you spend even checks that you were probably clearing 20 to 30 years ago. You know, so it's just like, I think that's where it becomes frustrating, because it's just like, it's all greed motivated from all these higher ups that don't want to give them that 3%. We damn know near that the writers, anybody that does any sort of production, a production job, and I'm not saying like the actors and actresses and the actors for the most part are always going to get taken care of. If they don't get paid upfront for the film, they always have residuals where they are going to get most of their pay after the film is successful. A lot of those are in percentages. However, it really depends. Obviously, like an actor like Robert Downey Jr., he was paid up front for films like for his roles as Tony Stark in Iron Man. A lot of the times he was paid, and yes, he would continue to get money from the films after they were successful. But when you hear, oh, Robert Downey Jr. was making $75 million for Infinity War and Endgame in each film, he was getting paid that up front for those films. You know, or someone like, I think it was like Zoe Saldana, how she said for her Marvel films, she was only paid like one check, and then she was receiving money after. Most of her pay came after the film was successful. So it's just like it's the actors and the actresses are taken care of. You know, it's just like, but even then, they always have, like, a lot of actors and actresses, they have a lot of residuals coming out. Writers, it's a little different. They are constantly working and having to work, and there's no comfortability for them, whereas realistically, if they aren't writing these stories, we aren't getting our favorite TV shows and movies to come out. It's perfect how you say, you can pinpoint when these shows essentially went to shit when you were watching them. You can watch, if you watch Breaking, I know I haven't seen Heroes or I've seen the first season of Lost. If you watch Breaking Bad, the writing in the first season compared to what it is in the second, the third, and the rest of the season it feels like two completely different shows. Do not get me wrong, that is the whole point of character development in a show, but it's different because you can see what happens is when writers care about what the story they're writing, as opposed to they're just writing it because they need a job. It's complete. It is, if you pay your employees a livable wage and something that they are proud to be working, that is when you have employees who are willing to stay. You know, it's just like, and that goes for any job. That is the basic mathematics of how jobs work. Is if you pay your employees, you know, fair wages, that they feel they're getting paid, you know, that they feel that, hey, that is a decent wage, then they are going to stay. They're going to put in quality work. They're going to, you know, continue to strive in their company. It is simple. It's simple ethics, and, you know, simple. It's that simple in my opinion. You know, it's just like, again, these writers deserve to get paid the work that they are putting in. When you have writing credits in an actual show, yes, you should be paid for that, and you should be paid. You should be compensated well, fairly for a show. Especially, and I specifically think of like Magali, who specifically wrote multiple episodes on The Walking Dead. Yes, she should be paid she should have been paid, a decent amount considering how successful that show was for so long. Was it less successful in its later years? Absolutely, but it was still making money enough to get 11 seasons.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's
And
frustrating.
spin-offs, like
Exactly, a whole universe. And it's just like, and I'm sure Juan would come on and agree with us essentially that they deserve to get paid, especially in like in a show franchise that is still set alive. Just because you've ended its main show, it's still gonna live on. You're bringing back, your show is so successful, or you continue, you want to continue your story so bad, you have to bring back the main character Rick Grimes to come out and have one last story. It's just like, and that is going to draw original fans. That's drawing me back to the Walking Dead universe because of Rick Grimes. I didn't care once Rick Grimes left. That's plain and simple. But
definitely
I mean,
agree.
it's just like it's a frustrating situation to know that these writers have to go on strike. What feels like every 10 and a half years. Because they don't feel like they're being paid right. There's an issue in that alone. If you have to constantly strike every now and then, because like I think of like in the situation, I know it's completely different. Baseball just had a strike last season in 2022 to begin the season. The season was delayed 2 weeks. Their last strike was in 1993, so close to 30 years. They hadn't had a strike. In my opinion, that's pretty good. That's 30 years without players feeling like they are not, that they are for the most part being compensated. And it's just like this is a situation where it's just obviously a lot different. But it's just like, again, if you are paying your employees fair wages, or wages that they feel are appropriate to the work that they are putting in, you're not going to have any issues. You have to address the issues immediately so that you don't get into a situation like the writer's strike.
Of course.
All right. Ready to end this?
Short episode this week, guys, but
About an hour long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, more or less, but still.
More or less.
But thank you so much again for tuning in with us. Thank you for getting us to 3,200. We really, really are so thankful.
3,200 plus.
And plus, and counting.
Plus is important, okay? Because that means it's over. That's important.
And counting, which is great. And of course, we're so thankful. Thank you for starting off the season with us strong. We will continue this. We have, of course, within a week, I believe, we have Fasten Your Seatbelts coming up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You seen that opening night?
I am, because we're doing a review for it.
Are we?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we're recording that night. Okay.
We are.
And then
we for sure are.
Miguel's.
And you know what? I might have a guest star with me.
Okay.
Sounds good. Because he is he mentioned it to me actually.
Okay.
This week, he's like, when you talk Fast X, I want to be there. I'm like, really? He's like, I love those movies, and I would love to talk about it with you, because he heard about Brian being on the show.
Okay.
And he wants to be like, what does Brian get up to be on the show? I want to be on the show. And I'm just like, all right, guy, yeah, the better.
In Brian's defense, he was right place, right time.
Exactly. So
it's not like we planned that out. We just like asked him in spur.
We're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Maybe even Brian might even join us. Who knows?
Maybe we'll get a surprise.
I will be contact. It'll happen, but we're for sure doing a review for it. For sure, confirmed.
So then, I think it's May 20th that the film is.
Release.
Well, May 19th, we're seeing it, obviously, Thursday night. May 20th, we are having a Fast and the Furious review.
Out.
Out. So, perfect. Also, it's confirmed Miguel is going to be in studio for Spider-Man Across the Universe. I think after that, we won't see you until Barbie and Oppenheimer. So no big deal. But hey.
Are you watching The Little Mermaid?
We can do a review on it for sure. No problem.
I want to.
I'm gonna see it. I'll be seeing it, so we can squeeze out a review, get it out.
Streets are saying that's the best live adaptation to date.
Speaking of Little Mermaid, did you see that both Haley, what's her name? Last name?
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry met the original voice actress. It was such a wholesome moment. Nice to see.
It was super, super nice. That premiere was amazing. That red carpet or the blue carpet premiere, amazing. Yeah. And they made me more excited. So, absolutely, yeah, we're definitely watching it.
We'll get a review out. Okay, how do you say Our Reel Addiction in Spanish again?
Nuestra careta adicción.
Nuestra careta adicción. Yeah. So this was episode 115 of Our Reel Addiction, or nuestro careta adicción. As always, thanks for listening, guys. I'm Adam.
And I'm Miguel.
Sic Parvis Magna.
Sic Parvis Magna, everybody.